Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by 10th Man, Neil, I think that's it, in G+, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Hello, hello. Happy Friday.
What's happening?
Happy Friday, or Sunday for the majority of people watching this.
Indeed. Can we check Discord and see if they're mic'd
Live.
up?
Wake. Hello, Discord. There's a couple of you need unmuting.
Mic check, mic check.
Yes, we hear you. Good to have you. Hey, Chocolate.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Right, let's do a bit of housekeeping. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Not even from a diffraction limit.
Meep. What's going on?
No, meep. The Roadrunner.
You're talking about Ed Freeze being Wile E. Coyote and constantly falling off the edge of a cliff and things, blowing himself up with Acme TNT.
Yes.
Yeah, Chocolate said he keeps receiving the Acme packages and opens them up.
And then, boom, blackface coyote, and then he blinks twice, right?
Correct. He's constantly chasing the Roadrunner, which is Nathan Oakley.
Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge, horizon formerly known as Earth curve?
Not from a diffraction limit.
The only evidence that could be would be the forced line experiment or setup or observation, right?
Right, the rectilineator. There's a mouthful of a word.
So every 50-year-old gets that.
No. The rectilineator is not what you think it is. Yeah, force the line. Yeah, absolutely. That would prove it either way. Not that it needs to be proven either way. If it was a sphere, it would have drop, and we don't. So, yeah, but you could prove it that way. Correct. Force the line.
Oh, sorry, guys. That just happened too fast even for me.
Interesting that the process, that force the line process, was taken on by concavers. I don't know if you're aware of this, but back in 2015, Stephen Christ and a whole bunch of other guys made a rectilineator. It was unsuccessful. I can't remember the reason why. But nevertheless, they took it on in the concave part of this debate, which we very rarely hear anything from. But there's a video called Gay Watch. You did hear me correctly, which kind of pokes fun at it, but shows some of the building process. I don't know where else to find something to recommend other than the video called Gay Watch, Gay Watch, a spin on obviously Baywatch, with them all in the sun building the rectilineator, and yeah, you get the idea. Any evidence?
They really named it that?
No, they didn't name it that.
Then.
No, Fanny Lancer, who takes the piss out of people, labelled it Gay Watch, and then had the Baywatch theme tune playing with them doing their stuff.
Oh, okay.
That's funny.
It was extremely amusing, I'm not going to lie. It was very, very funny. However, let's move on. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Any reference frames for something like that?
Would that involve motion?
Anybody got reference frames?
Yeah, let's just get something clear for everyone who's maybe stuck in the old times of the old convoluted Coriolis argument. Earth turning is supposed to develop drift. Now, drift is things moving apart from one another. Not moving together, moving apart. That's what drifting is. And Earth is supposed to have drift, 15 degrees an hour of it, in a second reference frame. That's Earth, not our claim, your Globehead Fundy claim, as a sphere turning underneath stuff at 15 degrees an hour to cause them to drift away. That's what drift means. Not drift together. That's an absurd oxymoron. They drift apart, not drift together. So, all of you out there who are failing to understand the claim of the globe Earth, I will summarise it now. It is claimed Earth as a sphere by you, globe claimants, turns underneath stuff not attached at 15 degrees an hour for us on the ground spinning to observe it drift away at 15 degrees an hour. That's drifting apart, not drifting together. Just so we're all clear. Any evidence of stuff drifting away from us at 15 degrees an hour because Earth's turning underneath it?
Not because Earth's turning underneath it.
Real quick, Nathan, are we live?
We should be live.
It's members only, Chocolate.
Oh, is it because the chat's not moving along?
Yeah, but I don't even see. Maybe I'm
Yeah, we
bugging.
can't get your channel on YouTube.
Talk amongst yourselves. I'll ask the next housekeeping question. I'll check it on YouTube while... any evidence or scientific evidence of gravity?
No. What is gravity?
Well, it's supposed to be a force that's not a force anymore, Chocolate.
A horse is a horse, of course, a force.
It's a effect now, right?
It's not a force, but you can think of it as a force.
Well, they
If you
told me
want.
on that channel yesterday in NASA that gravity was a force. And that's how come gas pressure is able to stay in the Earth's atmosphere, which I broke down atmosphere for them. I told them atmo means air, and gas takes no inherent shape. So how can we have a atmosphere?
Well, we're back to something that's been claimed to have been superseded and dead for 105 years, according to Einstein's theory, correct?
Nathan, are we going live?
He's
He's
checking
checking.
something.
Yeah, I think
Arvin.
I've got
We're
an
just-
issue. I'm just figuring it out, Arwin. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, you got
So
the
we're
same
talking.
issue as me.
I figured
What
out the
issue
issue. It's
do you
okay.
have, Arvin?
Well, I had issues yesterday, but
No, his channel's not showing up on YouTube for people to chat in or look at.
well, I'm on his channel right now, and
Oh, so you're on.
No, the channel.
It's done. It's done. We're live. It's all good. Don't worry. Just carry on. I'll move on.
Carry on, that.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
No.
Nope.
nope.
Be interesting if someone in Discord has something. Any ballers?
Yeah, it's very difficult to actually devise an experiment involving a conceptual medium. You know, kind of difficult.
A mind experiment, then?
If
Well, you
anybody
can do
could do
mind
it, it's all.
experiments, but yeah, mind experiments don't really involve the scientific method, now does it? So
Correct.
How would
Okay.
you go about doing it, Alwyn?
well, I drop the conceptual medium and start to try and get real. But yeah, that would conflict with the entire tradition of the astronomers and all that.
But we don't necessarily have to work at the really is level, right, Owen?
But I do actually want to do that.
No. Silence, Legolas. You must work within our imaginary level in order for these things to work. Come on, man. Catch up.
Yeah, they use that word a lot, Chocolate, imagination, when they're talking about their worldview.
Yeah. I love George Musa because he uses the word magic a lot when describing gravity.
He did that day.
Yes, he did.
It was funny to see Craig squirm at all these things as George Musa was validating everything we were saying.
Yep. And that was a year ago or something like that, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's a classic.
I got people like Veritasium coming out with videos called "Why Gravity Is Not a Force."
How dare he?
Eric,
Does it hurt because we're saying the same things that your own side is telling you? We're trying to keep you guys abreast of your own rhetoric. And then you guys look at us like we're crazy. Oh my God, you flat earthers. And then here's your side. Like, hey, gravity's not a force. Like, what?
A top physicist, Eric Valinda, said you need to go on the rooftop and shout it out that it's not a force.
Well, thank you for giving us that permission.
Yeah, right.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No evidence for the distance to the sun.
I'd like to know what it is.
It's a light in the sky.
Oh, a light, rather light. It's light in the sky.
Yeah.
It's coming to us. We see it. It hits us. Is it coming from somewhere? I don't know. But it seems to hit us at least.
It's coming from somewhere.
Bright spot, you know?
Coming from somewhere, we just don't know the distance to it.
I don't see a problem with a light because there are other lights. So a light works.
Yeah, but is it light, apparent light? Because light. If it's just light, then it leaves open because a light is usually an object that generates light. No, but I'm being pedantic here, I think.
My son told me it's made of plasma.
Right, there you go. Physical assumption bias. Physicality assumption bias. That's what that is. Because, hey, the only examples you can ever demonstrate to yourself are physical objects giving off light. So that's the only thing you really got as a comparison to the celestial lights. Very tough to imagine that those might be completely different in nature, entirely, as any light that we make here on Earth.
We're back to always doing this with this question. The question distinctly says distance to the sun, and we're always talking about the nature of it.
Yeah, but it's important because you have to know what it is to get a distance, right?
That's not the question. The question is, do we have a distance to it? So unless we change the question, what is the nature?
We said no.
There is no distance to the sun because in order to have a distance, you would have to have a location for an object. And
there's no way of knowing
if it's an object.
I don't think it is. It doesn't abide by laws of perspective and all that.
Indeed. It's intangible. Quick shout out to Evan5935 for joining as a penguin. Thank you very much indeed.
Yay.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Hell no.
Only in the movies.
Right. But it seems that it only gets really addressed in movies where the entire Earth eventually blows up or something. Did you take notice of that?
Yeah, it's always catastrophic, right?
Right. I think that the molten iron core is kind of a catastrophic conception.
Oh,
But it does sound silly with the way you say it. Evidence of a molten iron core in the center of a presupposed spherical Earth. Sounds real silly.
Don't forget the self-perpetuating part.
Yeah.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container?
Of course.
Here's the necessary antecedent for a good argument.
I mean, you do not understand that the little molecules in the atmosphere are being pulled to the Earth. I mean, Do you not understand that? It's very simple. Called gravity, just like the thing that pulls you down to the ground. Little molecules in the atmosphere are pulled down to the Earth as well. Very, very simple.
Gas expands in all directions.
Yeah, but it's got a force acting on it to stop it doing that.
Gravity's not a force. George Musa.
Oh, yes, it is. What do you think? No, Musa said just after that you also have to treat it as a force because gravity is an umbrella term for several things, one of which is the force in our 3D world.
Fascinating. Hold on,
but
guys, can this not be constantly interrupted? Hello? No, gas doesn't go down, go boom boom, like bouncy balls poured into a fish tank.
Just like you do.
I'm not
Behave
gas.
just like you do.
No, gas does not go down. Like bouncy balls. You're going to interrupt this 3 times in a row? Try again.
Okay, go ahead.
Gas does not go down, go boom boom, as asserted by a clown called Thunderfoot. By analogy, with bouncy balls poured into a fish tank, gas expands in all directions to fill the availability of volume it has. It does not just go down. It doesn't have an exclusively downward vector with this made-up force of gravity. It expands in all directions to fill the available volume.
Yeah, and just like a bouncy ball...
Sorry, yes. So yes. So you concede and then go on to talk about a bouncy ball, so yes.
So I missed what you started.
You started out by agreeing and then started talking about bouncy balls. So gas, unlike bouncy balls, expands in all directions. Then you said yes.
No, I misheard the start. Oh, let's just try to start again.
Okay, gas expands in all directions. It does not go down, go boom boom like bouncy balls poured into a fish tank.
Behave just like bouncy balls.
No, it doesn't. It expands in all directions. Balls poured through gas will go down. They're not gas. They have intermolecular bonds and do not behave like gas.
They do. They behave exactly like...
Who cares? Gas expands in all directions to fill the availability of volume it has to fill. This is a fact of life. If the sky was a vacuum, the gas we breathe, which is expanding in all directions, would expand into that area. That's how you calculate it, by way of its volume. Well, if the sky was a massive volume for gas to fill, gas would be filling it, and it's not going down like bouncy balls poured into a fish tank. Gas expands in all directions. It does not behave like bouncy balls.
Yes, it does.
No, it does not. Gas is unbonded and expands in all directions. Bouncy balls go down, go boom boom when you pour them. That's not how gas behaves. You are incorrect and a moron.
Let me get...
Stutter for me. Let me stutter for me. No. Gas does not behave like solids when poured through gas. Gas expands in all directions. And if the sky was a vacuum, the gas we breathe would fill the space.
Can I make just one point? Right. The point is, a bouncy ball, if you drop it from a tall building...
You don't give a shit. We're not talking about bouncy balls, you thick idiot. I don't care how bouncy balls behave. They are not gas, you stupid idiot.
They behave just like...
No, they are not gas. Don't tell me how gas behaves like solid. It's not solid, you idiot.
No, it's not solid. It's like...
So it's not like bouncy balls, which are solid then. So don't detail how your one drops off a building. That's not how gas behaves, because it's not solid and bouncy balls are. Gas, on the other hand, expands in all directions to fill the availability of volume, and if the sky was a volume, the gas would fill it.
But it's got gravity acting on it just like...
No, you're describing gravity as a downward vector as applicable to bouncy balls. We've covered this. You got pummeled by me. No, that's not what's happening when you compare gas to bouncy balls, because bouncy balls are solid, whereas gas expands in all directions.
That behaves exactly like bouncy balls.
No, it doesn't. Bouncy balls are solid. Are gases solid? No, they're not. That's correct. So not behaving like bouncy balls. Thunderfoot, who asserted that, is an abject clown. He demonstrated that gas, in his opinion, behaves like solids when poured into a fish tank. He's a moron. Like you. You think that bouncy balls are analogous to gas, and they're not.
One ball is analogous to one molecule.
Okay, let me try. Rumpus, let me try it one time. Okay. What grants a molecule energy to move? A gas molecule, what grants it energy to move?
Gravity. And temperature, but the temperature... There were two... There are two things that cause it to move. The temperature, in other words, the kinetic energy of the surrounding atoms, which have all been heated up by sunlight, etc., and gravity. There are two forces acting on the collision with other balls, other molecules, and the force of gravity. There are two things that are affecting any individual molecule.
Couldn't give a crap, that's a ball. We're talking about gas, which is not solid. How many times are you going to try and take this conversation down the same road as Thunderfoot and claim that gas is like solids and therefore goes down when poured? It doesn't. It expands in all directions to fill the volume. And if the sky was a vacuum, that would be a volume for the gas to fill. And we'd all be dead.
Are you denying that gas is made up of molecules? Are you denying that gas is made up of molecules, little balls?
Little balls? Little solid balls with intermolecular bonds? No, it's not behaving like solid, bonded, bouncy balls. Do the bouncy balls have intermolecular bonds?
Do you accept that...
Do the bouncy balls, like gas, have a lack of intermolecular bonds to make them comparable or not?
And then you can I just make...
Then you can stutter for me while you ignore my question, because my question annihilates your claim. Gas is not bonded.
Molecules.
Yeah, you're just talking through me, so I'm going to kick you out if you don't listen to my question.
Do you accept that gas...
Do you want to listen to my question, or do you want to keep asking me what I accept, when I've told you I don't accept that gas behaves like solids? And I'm asking, do these balls... I'm going to kick you out. Last chance. Do the balls have intermolecular bonds?
No, gas doesn't have intermolecular bonds.
Do the balls that you're comparing to gas have intermolecular bonds?
No, I'm comparing a molecule to a ball.
Stutter for me, you fundy bitch. Getting pummeled. So, bonded bouncy balls have intermolecular bonds, but gas does not.
So it's irrelevant that a ball is made up of stuff. We're talking about an individual ball being synonymous with an individual molecule.
It isn't, because an individual molecule of gas doesn't have any intermolecular bonds, and a bouncy ball does.
Correct.
That's right, so it's not comparable, because gas doesn't have any intermolecular bonds, and your solid, bonded, bouncy ball does, making it a completely different state. You are as stupid as Thunderfoot.
We treat the ball as one object, and we treat a molecule as one object.
I treat a molecule without intermolecular bonds as a gas. You treat a solid, bonded, bouncy ball as a gas, because you are moronic.
Do you accept...
Don't ask me what I accept. I don't accept that a solid bonded bouncy ball will defy gas law. Gas expands in all directions, and if outer space, as claimed to be a vacuum, was a volume for the gas we breathe to fill, then it would be filling it and we'd all be dead. Therefore, the sky is not a vacuum. Further to that, your assertion that gas behaves like solid bonded bouncy balls is not a demonstration of gas pressure without a container.
To answer my question?
You can suck my balls. You can get out my hangout now. I'm not answering anything. You keep telling me how gas is comparable to bouncy balls because you're a moron like Thunderfoot. And you are wrong. They are bonded when compared to your bonded balls, are they? No, gas is unbonded, therefore not comparable, therefore won't go down with an imaginary force that you're going to imply is holding gas to the surface of Earth because it behaves like solid bonded bouncy balls. No, both you and Thunderfoot are morons. Outer space is fake. Gas expands in all directions to fill the volume it has to fill. And if the sky was a vacuum, it would be a vast volume for gas to fill, and we would all be dead. Your assertion, parroted by Thunderfoot, is simply incorrect. Gas is not analogous to bouncy balls. Moving on. Any evidence of the R value?
Black Swan.
Shout out to Chris Berry for joining it, also as a penguin. Woo, 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 woo.
I've never seen 2,000-mile-an-hour bouncy balls moving around. Have you guys?
I've got bouncy balls in front of me. They're not moving at all. What he wants to do is argue about net force zero and gravity. Not about the fact that the sky is a volume for gas to fill, and gas doesn't go down. It expands in all directions to fill the volume. Nobody's looking at vacuum chambers with layers of gas at the bottom of it. If you release a gas into a vacuum chamber, it just fills the space equally. Well, if the sky was a vacuum, the gas we all breathe would dissipate into it, and we wouldn't have any. We'd be at 10 to the minus 17 torr at sea level. And we're not. The sky is not a vacuum.
And if you really listen to him, he completely agreed with you when you showed him how his comparison was not comparative. And he said, correct. And then he just continued to try to do the same thing. Like, we didn't hear him just say correct. Like,
that's what they got
that
to
mind
do.
trick doesn't work anymore, guys.
Yeah, that's what they've got to do. They've got to turn gas into solid to make it apply with gravity in a downward vector. And he hasn't got it. It's not applicable, and it's not a force. And if we calculate how much volume the gas has got to fill to calculate the pressure, we'd be at 10 to the minus 17 torr if the sky was a vacuum. But what do you know? We've got pressure, proving beyond all doubt that the sky is not a vacuum. Shout out to Pugsley Lovejoy, who also joined as a penguin. Thank you very much.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Neil.
Go ahead.
How do we know the shape of gas molecules? Have we ever seen one?
I've not personally seen a gas molecule. I've seen demonstrations.
So why is he saying that they're little round balls?
Well, they might be, but they're unbonded. One solid bonded ball with lots of intermolecular bonds with lots of other little balls all attached together isn't analogous to them all flying around separately, expanding in all directions. That's the point.
Yeah, I know, but he said molecules are round. They're little balls. I never seen a molecule.
Yeah, air's kind of hard to see. It's definitely there though, Neil, I promise.
Yeah, electron microscope, that's the only real way to notice any of that. But it's
pressure.
very complicated.
Not at all. Pressure, we've got gas pressure. It's pressing.
No, the seeing
of
the molecules, that's what I meant.
Yeah, me too. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
I know we have gas pressure.
Electron microscope, just check it out. It's fascinating what it even is. So, but it did give me some kind of insight on like this grid of balls, like spherical crystals, basically. That's what it showed.
I didn't know that.
It's nice to bring back up Thunderfoot, though, eh? He hasn't got mentioned. Thanks to Simon Dan, we almost forgot about him, didn't we? We rode him hard, put him away wet, and then forgot all about him. But yeah, gas don't go down going boom boom. Does it, Thunderfoot? You abject clown.
So Rumpus tried to be his lawyer too, his greasy lawyer, come in and tell us how bouncy balls work.
Yep.
As a gas.
Indeedy.
You guys might need a new lawyer.
The problem is with the downward vector only.
Yeah, they need it to assert that gas go down and go boom boom like bouncy balls when poured into a fish tank, as asserted by a moron clown called Thunderfoot.
So much for gravity.
I think that's it. I think we've covered
Well, he asked
questions. Go ahead.
Well, he asked, what's your obsession with intermolecular bonds? I would ask, what's your obsession with gravity?
My obsession with bonds? It's the description of the state. Weak bonds, liquid.
No, that's what
strong bonds, solid. No bonds, gas. It's fundamental to the principle of each particular state. Why am I obsessed with it? Well, because we're specifically detailing gas behaviour, and you want to tell us how solids behave. And what's the difference? Well, the bonds.
Yeah, I think the last speaker was saying that's what Rumpus was asking.
Well, no, he was pointing more over that he's obsessed with a non-force force that he can give us a force called gravity, and then asking me why I'm obsessed with intermolecular bonds.
Didn't we bury gravity 105 years ago?
Well, one incarnation of gravity. The Matrix was reloaded and it came back as the bending of a conceptual medium called spacetime.
Yeah, but we're supposed to be shouting from the rooftops, gravity's not a force. George Muser says you can think of it as one, but it's not. Why is Rumpus still hanging on to it like a child's toy?
Oh, well, how does that work, the bending of space-time? Explain that to me.
It's just, you don't need to, it's not real. We're just talking about concepts in that regard, Neil. You don't need to concern yourself with it in the real world. It's not actually functional at the really is level. Talking about bending conceptual mediums, just descriptions of stuff that isn't real, places that aren't real.
Fake.
Yeah. Well, conceptual, not fake. That's conceptual. You can think about it.
I see.
Yeah, they need something to make gas stay here when they've got a sky vacuum in violation of natural law. And quote the rumpus, second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to the Earth. And what he means by that is globe Earth, because their model of Earth can't have the second law of thermodynamics applying to it, because the gas would fill the space. And that's natural law, i.e. the law of what we actually experience in reality, as opposed to what functions on a heliocentric model of a globe Earth in a vacuum. The second law doesn't apply to that because it doesn't work. We'd have no gas to breathe if the sky was a vacuum, hence it isn't. It's just asserted to be that way in a model people reify.
So basically you're saying the gas law and the second law of thermodynamics debunks the heliocentric model.
I've got a new question to ask the ballers. Is the universe an open or closed or isolated system?
There are no isolated... Open or
that?
closed. There are no isolated systems in nature. There's no such thing.
Well, I'm talking about the universe, the overall, like the system, the overall universe itself, not just... so if the universe is an open system, or even if it's a closed system, and they say the second law doesn't apply, it only applies to isolated systems. So then they're saying that the second law doesn't apply to the universe.
Yeah, their sky universe vacuum, no, it doesn't apply. They govern it with mathematical rules, Einsteinian mechanics, non-real pseudo force space. So no, you're right. It can't apply. They claim that the lights in the sky we see are actually gases in a vacuum. Just preposterous nonsense.
But even if you argue it's plasma, you have the same problem because eventually the plasma will dissipate, right?
Can't have balls of gas not dissipating into vacuums. That's a direct violation of the second law of thermodynamics. What they claim the lights in the sky are violations of the second law of thermodynamics. That's what they claim they are. Simple. Some of them, again, what a shock, twice in one show. Thunderfoot even did it with a fundamentalist religious assertion attached to it. He merely pointed at his fundamentalist religious faith that they are gases in vacuums not expanding to declare that there is my fundy faith in a violation of natural law, proving my fundy faith in the natural law violation. Look, you can see lights in the sky, and I assume they're gases in a vacuum not expanding. Proving that they're gases in a vacuum not expanding, of course. Not me begging the question with my fundamentalist religious assertion that the sky is a vacuum and we've got burning balls of gas not expanding into it in line with natural law. That's not me begging the question. Yeah, it is. But that's what people like Thunderfoot do. They don't realise that they're religious zealots. And they'll literally point at what they think heaven is and describe it in violation of laws of nature as justification for proof of it. Idiots that beg the question, basically. That would be you, Thunderfoot. An idiot. Clearly the sky vacuum is obviously a bit of an issue at the moment for Rumpus to need to come in and discuss it.
I found something on gas.
You can't breathe.
I can. I'm all good.
No rumpus.
Can I read this on gas? It's real quick.
Go ahead, Neil.
According to Graham's law, the molecules of a gas are in rapid motion and the molecules themselves are small. The average distance between the molecules of a gas is large compared to the size of the molecules. As a consequence, gas molecules can move past each other easily and diffuse at relatively fast rates. says nothing about going down.
Yeah, and what's diffusion? Spreading out to fill the space.
Nothing about down. So I don't know what they're talking about.
Diffusion's just a second law descriptor. Describing diffusion is to describe entropy. Yeah, good little snippet. The gas will fill the space, and if the sky vacuums a space, what do they call the sky vacuum? Oh, they call it space, don't they? So it's a space then for gas to fill. Well, it would fill it. That vast space they claim the sky is called space. A space for gas to fill. Yeah, we'd all be dead. It's not a vacuum. The sky being a vacuum's absurd. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, Jesse, Lily was trying to say something. I was wondering, does gravity stop diffusion? Like if I put a drop of like food coloring into water, does gravity stop the dye from spreading out through the whole class of water, or does it settle at the bottom?
I don't know. Depends on the density of that dye, but I would assume it would just dissipate throughout the liquid.
Right. So if it's fairly dense, it would probably drop to the bottom. But even if it's slightly different, let's say the density of the dye is slightly different, I mean, eventually it would still dissipate through the whole water if it was close, even if it was close.
Maybe, but yeah, I see what you're saying. If you dropped a little drop of dye, you'd see it drop to the bottom if it was fairly dense. But if you came back 3 weeks later, the chances are it would just slightly have coloured the water, and you wouldn't see a drop of it at the bottom anymore. That's just diffusion over time. Again, just describing entropy, a slightly delayed effect of it because of your differences in dye versus water. But yeah, you're describing entropy again.
Nathan, it's so simple. Rumpus, if he just gets a balloon, blows it up, ties it up, he's contained gas. If he pops that balloon, where does that gas go? Does it go down?
Well, it's better with just the balloon. Don't even need to pop it. So you fill a balloon up. What Rumpus is saying is the gas inside the balloon will generally go mostly down. So what? You've got a deflated bit at the top of the balloon where there's less pressure because the gas is mostly going down. And you've got a much more inflated bit at the bottom of the balloon because the gas is mostly going down. No, it fills the balloon evenly in all directions. Gas just fills the space. It doesn't go down, go boom, boom. You don't have a deflated balloon on the top because gas is going down like bouncy balls poured into a fish tank. It just fills the space evenly.
It says here gases consist of particles, molecules, or atoms that are in constant random motion. Gas particles are constantly colliding with each other and the walls of their container.
Sorry,
These collisions are elastic. That is, there is no net loss of energy from the collisions.
Did you say random directions? So not mostly down, go boom, boom, like bouncy balls poured into a fish tank then, Neil?
Correct.
Yeah. Randomly, high speeds, all directions, not go down, go boom, boom, like Thunderfoot the Clown asserted. Doesn't understand the difference between solid bonded bouncy balls and unbonded gases, which expand in all directions. And if the sky was a vacuum, this black area was claimed to be 10 to the minus 17 torr by fundies who think they live on a ball flying through a vacuum, then the gas we breathe would fill the space. That's what gas does, expands at high speeds in all directions. Oh, right, it's not expanding. Oh, well, then it's not got a space to fill, because it would be filling it. Therefore, the sky is not a vacuum. Shout out to Justin 8. Is it Justin 805? Who's joined as a penguin. Thank you very much. Oh, it's all gone very quiet.
You doing a members only week or something?
Just Friday and just Thursday and Friday. So because they go out, typically the majority of people haven't watched these shows when they go out on the second channel. So yesterday's show goes out Saturday, and then this show goes out on Sunday on the second channel. Well, when that happens, that can be when your average Joe can chat in the chat and chat alongside it, rather than having to monitor two different chats, one that's on screen that's going at a hell for leather rate, and then the one that you're actually chatting in when it's premiering. Well, no, from now on it'll be members only Thursday, Friday, so that the delayed chats which members only get, i.e. the after show from Thursday and the pre-show from Friday, etc., well, they can have them before everyone else, and then 2 days later everyone can watch them and chat when they get re-released with the uncut and after show beginning and after bit. But in the live show, yeah, that'll go on to the screen when it's premiering, and you can actually read it if it's members only. But that'll just be Thursday, Friday, so Monday to Wednesday it'll just be the same usual. Everyone can chat. Shout out to C. Is it CMog? Welcome to Penguin.
Yeah, Nathan, what's in Discord? Any ballers? Maybe we should ask them to join or go off and let other people come in to talk.
Yeah, there's a few people in there. I'm sure some of them are ballers. Maybe.
No, don't just take up space, boys. Ask a question. Let's have a good debate.
Space, you say?
For the
Yes,
gaps
I
to fill?
said that.
Yeah, there's several gaps now. There's 3 gaps if someone wants to join.
Perfect.
Link is in the info box if you're watching this live. Obviously not. If you aren't watching this live and you want to know how to join, because I often get asked, well, how can I join? It's like, well, this is a rebroadcast of a pre-recorded show, uncut and after show, that hasn't gone out live at all. So it's not live and you couldn't join unless it was. But if you're happening to watch this on an uncut and after show stream, then you'd have to go to a live stream, and the link's still under there when it's no longer live. So you can still get into the Discord server. There's often people in there chatting away when the shows aren't live. So just so you know, the link's always under the live shows, so they have to have actually been broadcast live for there to be a link under them. Not if that's not obvious to everybody, but maybe it's not. Because I do actually say it, right, on the uncut and after show. I'm still saying, if you want to join the stream, click the link below.
Yes.
Confusing for some. Shout out to everyone watching this on Sunday.
Woo!
Did anybody watch Conspiracy Cats' video?
Nope.
Literally nobody. Me neither. Okay, moving on. Okay, I got a load of comments all at once. So I searched my own name in YouTube and saw Conspiracy Cat's thumbnail and could glean from what the people in the comments were saying to me what needed to be addressed. So I just made a quick 2-minute response video, literally without even watching his video. No need. So he didn't even get a view out of me.
That was on the Rayleigh criteria, right?
Diffraction limit. I said things diffract
Yeah.
into the distance. And he's questioned that, from what I can glean, because people are asking me, what did you mean when you said things diffract into the distance? This picture on screen was taken with a camera. Now, the aperture will dictate at what point things disappear. That would be diffract. That's interference. And where is that interference? It's here. We call this point the horizon. It is the most limited angle that you can resolve information through the aperture of the camera. That would be called the diffraction limit, calculable in the Rayleigh criterion. So when I say things diffract into the distance, that is 100% accurate description of the diffraction limit. The diffraction limit being this point of convergence, where things get too small to see. Now, based on the angle being the most limited across the deck, the things at the bottom of any item in this distance will disappear first. For example, if I was to take a brick, which was in the near foreground, an 8-inch brick, and put it out at 1 mile, let's just say this horizon for the sake of argument is 1 mile into the distance, we will assume at the distance of 1 mile we can see 1 brick. Now we're going to push the same brick, that 8-inch brick, out to 5 miles. Now at 5 miles, it is beyond the angular resolution limit of the camera, the diffraction limit. So, the 8-inch brick at 5 miles in the distance has disappeared completely. You can no longer see it. The angle is too limited. It has disappeared. Now let's take the same exact example at 5 miles. The brick's out at the distance at the diffraction limit on the horizon, disappeared from view. And we're going to build a 100-foot skyscraper on top of the brick. What do you know? We've got a wider angle to the top of the bricks with the building, but the 8-inch brick at the bottom still vanished because the angle to it is still too limited and it's still beyond the diffraction point. Now the stuff built on top of it can be seen, ergo 8 inches of building has disappeared from bottom up at the most limited angle. Now this effect is succinctly summarised with one word: perspective. And this effect of things disappearing from the bottom up at the most limited angle as they diffract, that would be resolution interference, the point that you can't resolve it anymore. At that point, the globe-believing fundies have got mathematics which call that effect an absolutely real effect you can observe with anything ever, every time you open your eyes or take a picture of anything, because everything's travelling through an aperture with a diffraction limit. They have called this effect Earth curve. Now what they've done to hijack this effect is take this beautiful view and removed all aspects of detail from it by putting it in side profile. So you'll have a little man on the left, and if the sun was the target, you'd have the sun on the right, and you'd have one line between the two things, and the sun would be given a feet and inches value, and it would never change with distance. So in my example with an 8-inch brick in the distance, 5 miles, completely disappeared from view, too small to see, according to that mathematics, you've got your man on the left, you've got your 8-inch brick on the right, and you've got a straight line between them. And it doesn't matter if I write 1,000,000 miles on the line, because the 8-inch brick hasn't changed from being an 8-inch brick, even if I write 1,000,000 miles on the line, effectively removing all aspects of the diffraction limit, i.e. perspective, from Earth curve mathematics. No longer do you need to concern yourself that the 8-inch brick cannot be seen at 1,000,000 miles, because in your diagram side on, with the side of your own head in view, you can see the brick, 8 inches of it, at any distance, removing perspective.
Well, that's just ridiculous the way you explain that. That's ridiculous.
Well, thank you very much. I thought it was quite eloquent and concise.
No, what they're saying, I mean, that's ridiculous to assume that.
Oh, it's ridiculous to assume that an 8-inch brick is 8 inches at 1,000,000 miles.
Yeah.
Technically and strictly true, but in reality, we've got diffraction limits based on the aperture of whatever you're looking through. The bigger the aperture, the lower the diffraction limit, ergo the longer you have angular resolution to things in the distance. Wider angle, bigger aperture, those are the things that affect where things disappear. Lower to the deck, limited angle, things disappear quicker. Higher, above the deck, things will be capable of vision because you've got a wider angle to them. This is perspective, and they've called it Earth curve and removed all aspects by putting your side on. That's how they've hijacked what you see. Big massive shout out to Life is Short, one of my Patreons, because if it wasn't for him, I couldn't have given that little speech. That's down to him and him alone. Big shout out to Life is Short. Subscribe today. Check out his presentations.
Well, I can ascribe something to you. The begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator. It's marked with an X, labeled horizon based on the R value, debunked by the Black Swan. Welcome to Flat Earth.
Good
Yeah.
1/10.
The horizon's not a physical Earth curve edge obstruction, in spite of that side-on view depicting the horizon as being the tangent point in that mathematics. And the horizon isn't a physical geometric sphere edge. It's a non-tangible, non-physical point in the distance that changes with weather and your angle of view to things that are diffracted based on your aperture of your eye or camera or whatever you're taking a picture with.
So then professional photographers or people that are artists, they should know it's not Earth curve, don't they?
They're the ones that know perspective.
Yeah, they get the inside scoop. So, shouldn't there be more artists coming out with this knowledge?
Baller should take an art class in school to figure it out.
No, but look, guys, those typical people, they might find out through camera work and all that it seems kind of flat. But if they don't have the proper knowledgeable background, they might easily be convinced that they just have to apply circumdicular geometry, and they'd still believe it is a ball, even though everything looks flat all the time. So.
But they can't deny perspective.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They can deny perspective. When this started, Globers were coming in here saying that perspective is something Flat Earth was made up.
Yeah, fleur perspective.
Globers.
They used to tell us, fleur perspective, ha ha ha, like it was made up by us.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah, Globers can deny perspective, but artists can't because it's in every painting.
Yeah, well, that's why it makes it even funnier when they say, "Oh, you guys made this up." Like, really? So what are all the artists out there doing? What's going on? How did we make this up? It's just how we
Didn't
see
somebody
it,
make a whole list? Remember, somebody made a whole list of things about perspective of what we say.
Yeah, Tim Osman presented it. I can't remember who made the list initially, but Tim Osman basically had a list. In one column, you've got Earth curve. In the other column, you've got weather, refractive effects, diffraction limits, swells, things like that. All the list of things that can cause stuff in the distance to disappear at a given point. Now, all of those things are just written off as not Earth curve. Because the only thing in their column, literally the only thing in their column to claim that things disappear in the distance is Earth curve. That's the only reason things disappear as they get further away from you. And in their maths, as I say, a 10-foot wall is a 10-foot wall, even if it's 1,000,000 miles away. It's never getting smaller. It's always 10 foot. That's how their maths works. It just excludes perspective. So they think on a flat Earth, we should see forever. Because their maths says the Eiffel Tower, its given height, it's just that over there at that height and you should see it. And unless Earth curve gets in the way, you would see it. It's like, no, it's miles too small.
We need to publish this. We need to get this out.
Well, until the Black Swan came, right, Nathan? Now, in their orthographic view, it's not disappearing.
Well, in their orthographic view, they've got a marked with an X labelled horizon Earth curve edge that's geometrically obscuring things in the distance. But then when we ask them, in this picture with a horizon, where's the geometric sphere edge? We're told, you can't see the geometric horizon. You wouldn't expect to see geometry. That's what we're told. Bye-bye, Earth curve geometry then. When you say you can't see a geometric sphere edge horizon to get a tangent point, you can't derive R. And the thing you're denying being capable of seeing is Earth curve. When they say you can't see the geometric horizon, that's Earth curve. They're telling you you can't see.
Well, then bye-bye orthographic view.
That was a joke already. We exposed that like 3 years ago.
Muppet vision.
Muppet vision. That's correct. Muppet vision because you can see the side of your own head.
Yeah, but when it comes to the Black Swan, they're going to say refraction instead of realizing their orthographic view doesn't match reality.
These two things are obviously intrinsically linked, but they're not part of the same argument. So the fact that the begging the question part of the argument with the R value is addressed with the Black Swan, when they beg the question with R, we've debunked their use of R. They can't get it anymore. Well, that debunks the begging the question aspect. Proof of nothing speaks for itself. Perspective hijacking, the next aspect to the detailed description I give that calculator, is this aspect. The perspective hijacking is putting it in orthographic view, removing the fact that things get smaller with distance, that's angular size, or apparent size, as it's also known, versus actual size. A 10-foot wall, you on the left-hand side of the image, I'll just depict it for the audience on this. So you, a little stick man here, 10-foot wall here, line between the two. I'm going to write 1 billion miles on the two. Well, does that mean that you can't have a line between the two? No. Well, when you then curve that line, you'd say that the billion miles isn't the cause of the thing not being capable of being seen. It's the Earth curve obstruction that's got in the way. Because they've taken the effect of perspective, things getting too small to see in the distance, as they reach the diffraction limit, and called that Earth curve.
Until the Black Swan.
Until the Black Swan. 2020, 1st Jan. Discord is surprisingly quiet today.
Well, Rumpus had a good go, at least.
I can't remember who I was discussing this with the other day, but it's more fun to try and figure out the motivation rather than the argument. The arguments have all been pummeled, right? So Rumpus is never going to win on that score. Gas go down, boom, 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 like bouncy balls now. Right, but what's his motivation? Why that particular thing to address today? There's got to be a reason. There typically is.
I don't know. I think it has to do just with the sheer amount of consequences of keeping their model in that fashion, ignoring natural law. Well, the problem with natural law is it's integrated in absolutely everything. So if they want to keep that disconnected, then they have to convolute it wherever it touches, basically. So yeah, bouncy balls, Earth, what is it again? The gradient, all kinds of ways, and just keep reasserting that to kind of give enough confusion out in order to keep it convincing that it might actually be a possibility. That's what I think they're doing.
His motivation, in my opinion, is to actually come on the show and have a lucky day where he thinks he can actually win an argument against the flat earth debate questions. And he hasn't done it from beginning to now. So he keeps coming back to get lucky, but he ain't going to get lucky.
No, he chants. Rumpus chants.
Yeah. Gas isn't like air. Well, if we drop a bouncy ball off a building, he's got his direction that he's going to travel in. Any objections that come up along the way will be completely ignored or rumpused, talked through, obfuscated, and then he'll carry on with the exact same, what do you want to call it, freight train path that he's on. There is no deviation from the path he's on. He's going to be asserting gas go down, go boom, boom like bouncy balls. And he's going to make his example. And when I give him an opportunity, he's like, well, if you can just make my example, so I'm clear the airwaves for him. And the first thing he does is say, when you drop a bouncy ball, so it just doesn't matter what I've objected to it with. It doesn't matter that he's even conceded and agreed that gas is unbonded, bouncy balls are bonded, they're not comparable. He'll just tell you straight afterwards, after agreeing, how they are comparable. Because he's going to be telling you gas go down, go boom, boom. When it doesn't.
He doesn't even get that when he says refraction, he's already admitted that he believes in flat earth.
Yeah, he's already essentially admitting that you can't see Earth curve. Oh, it's refracted.
He doesn't even get that.
No, several people on the panel did welcome him to Flat Earth with his opening gambit. I think it was Chocolate. Or Neil.
I called him the antecedent for an argument.
Say again, Flatsoid? Oh, it's 10th. Sorry, say again, 10th.
No, I said, when he came on, I said, oh, here's the necessary antecedent for an argument.
Yeah, right.
I just see, you know how like any lawyer will have a number of cases they might be working on at the same time. I just see as today's case was Mr. Greasy Lawyer came in to defend the bouncy ball case of Thunderclown, whatever his name is. Right? That's today's case. Tomorrow's case might be back to the reference phrase with Simon and you're misrepresenting his argument. Right? You know? I just see him as like a little greasy lawyer who's just going around trying to clean up everybody's crap, including his own.
Oh, I see.
So
it's like the Family Globe, and every time someone like Dan or Thunderfoot cocks up, he turns up and has to clear up the mess afterwards, basically. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, pretty much.
I see. He's the Family Globe lawyer. with that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you tuned in live, joined as a member, smashed the super chat, commented, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G Plus panels for making today's live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either Premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!